Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Nick family and NBA Nation. Welcome to Dope Soul Sports Talk, Dope Soul Knicks Talk. I'm Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen BK, bringing you that dope to the soul sports content, particularly as it relates to my New York Knicks. Today is Uncle Freezie from Blorange Tears on his YouTube channel and NBA360 on podcast streaming on streaming platforms. And we're here to talk about the New York Knicks Cleveland Cavaliers first round matchup. Freezie, how you doing?
Bim, Mo Fire, get your energy up. I'm feeling great. I can't wait till Saturday at 6:00. My energy is up right now, Queen B. I'm ready.
Yeah, all the way up. No doubt
All the
about
way up. Get that energy up. Let's go.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. You know, before I get into specific questions, just give me your initial thoughts on this playoff series with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Super confident. I mean, unreasonably confident that the Knicks will defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it's not just because of fandom, but I see strategic advantages that the Knicks can exploit, right? I see personnel and rotation advantages that the Knicks can exploit, right? And I also see a star in the making, right? And so with all that said, I'm super confident.
Yeah, definitely. I have the Knicks winning in 6. You know, and this is all for me predicated on Randall being healthy. I think if Randall isn't healthy, obviously you could still win, but it's going to take a yeoman's effort from, you know, everybody else. But if Randall plays, I do see the Knicks winning in 6, and I'm not taking anything away from Cleveland. They're a formidable opponent. Number 1 in offense, number 7 number 1 in defense, number 7 or 8 in offense. They don't turn the ball over. They don't. They defend, you know, points off turnovers. They don't give up a lot of second chance points, but still, I think there's certain things, like you said, the Knicks can do to get the advantage over the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we'll talk more about it. Let's talk about the probability of Randall playing in that first game, and what can we do if he doesn't, to still give us the best chance to win. And what I'll say is Randall's ability to hit the three, particularly in that first quarter, I think he's hitting 3.5 threes a game, or taking 3.5 threes a game, pulls Mobley out of the key, right? And opens up driving lanes for us. If he can't play, I still think Obi Toppin could do that same thing. I still think they respect Obi enough that if Mobley is playing him, he'll have to come out of the key. I think with Obi, rebounding becomes more of an issue. But if Randall doesn't play, what can we do to kind of mitigate that and still give us the best chance?
So the playoffs will probably be officiated different, right? So there probably will be a more physical style of play in the playoffs.
Yes.
Right? So with that mindset, I think Obi can get away with playing more physically. You know what I'm saying? The whole Randall being out and Obi is the starter thing is a little bit more delicate, because Obi can replace Randall's production, but the 4 position in general is thinned out. Right. So what happens if Obi does get ticky-tack fouls early on? Do we have somebody to play the 4 behind Obi?
Right.
Like if Randall was the 4 and he got ticky-tack fouls, you can bring Obi in. Now, with that said, sure, I think Obi's 3-point ball is a weapon, right? I think it's a weapon that could be used and should be used throughout the series, right? Strategically, I don't think Cleveland is even going to bother with putting Mobley on Obi with Obi on a perimeter. I
Yeah.
think you'll see their small forward switch out to cover Obi,
Right.
and then those two, just Jared Allen and Mobley, zone up kind of. Now I know you have to be with a man. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. But what I think they'll do is allow jump shooters to be that on the perimeter, like basically give guys space. I think Evan Mobley will be on whatever secondary non-shooter is on the floor. Like for instance, if
RJ Barrett.
probably yeah.
Yeah, he'll
Ba-
probably be on our. No, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
Basically, no. I think you're on to something. I was actually cycling through the non-shooters, and when you
Mhm.
said RJ Barrett, it just it just clicked. But we have to play into that strategic advantage on our part, right? If
Right,
that is the case, then RJ has to get Evan Mobley involved in defending pick and rolls,
right,
right? And then that way you have both of their bigs out away from the basket. That way you can get Brunson, Grimes, and whatever other player going towards the basket. I think that's ideal. It's one of those. It's one of those strategic advantages that doesn't look like a strategic advantage at first,
right.
but as the games go on, I think you'll see more and more of those. Does Obi have an impact? Yes, I think Obi is going to impact this series in a positive way if Randall is not there. And just one other thing I just want to say about that
Mhm,
scenario is, even if Randall's not available early on,
mhm.
you just need to win 4 games. We don't need to win 4 in a row.
Right.
We need to win
Yeah.
4 of them,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
We just need to win 4 of them. So if we can kind of hold down the fort until Beast come back, that when Beast come back, then it's a whole nother series.
No doubt
So
about it. Yeah. No. Yeah. No doubt about it. Mobley on RJ Barrett. Just to follow up on that point, he may be their best. Well, I wouldn't say he's their best perimeter defender, but he's a very good perimeter
right, Isaac
defender.
Okoro is their best
Yeah,
perimeter defender,
he
but
is.
he's also hurt.
Right. He's day to day as well. He may or may not
Right,
play in that first game
right,
also, which is advantage us because even though I do think Brunson will win that matchup, he's going to make Brunson have to work for it,
right,
right? And then that
right,
slows potentially can slow Brunson down, wear him out,
right.
basically, which is I'm hoping what Grimes is able to do with Mitchell, but we'll get into that. Let's switch to RJ Barrett. We was just talking about him. Is there anything he can do to change the outcome of the series? He has a rather high, so his on his drives to the basket, I think it's 12 and a half drives to the basket per game. So he's up there. But he has a high turnover rate
Right,
um driving to the basket and he has a low assist rate going to the basket.
right,
However, in my opinion, I think RJ Barrett has a better chance. Let me see how I want to say this. I have more confidence in RJ Barrett passing when he drives in this series, something he doesn't do well. But I have more confidence in him turning that around than I do to him starting to hit catch and shoot threes than I do in him finishing at the rim with Jared Allen back there. I think that is an opportunity for RJ Barrett, whether he's in the post against whoever is guarding him, he's going to be
right.
able to get in the lane. Whether he drives, I don't think anybody can really stop him from driving.
No.
It's when they rotate over. Can RJ Barrett get that ball out to shooters? I was watching some film today, and there's
Right,
times when they're standing around and the spacing, I don't even know if I've noticed this in games. When RJ Barrett drives, everybody is set up beautifully in their spots.
right.
One time somebody had their hands hands up right there just waiting for the pass that never came. But my
That never
point
came.
is when he drives, there are open shooters. He draws a lot of attention. That's
Right,
where I see him having potentially a huge impact on this series if he's able to see those guys, see them, and be willing to deliver that pass. But that's for me. What do you think RJ Barrett can do to change the outcome or have a significant impact on the series?
So it's three things for me. The same thing that you saw, right,
Hmm.
is the same thing we say on Blorange Tears often.
Okay.
It's not that those guys are not in the right spots,
Right.
right? And it's not that RJ Barrett can't make those passes.
Right.
It's that he won't make those passes. That's our issue
Right.
with RJ Barrett. Selfishness,
Right.
like believing ultimately that he can do it better than anyone else and not trusting teammates.
Right.
Right. That's been my thing with RJ since day one, right? That he believes in himself so much that he won't give others a chance to help him.
Right.
Right. It's one of those things like the Batman theory, like Batman in Justice League. Batman feels like he can do everything himself. He don't need Superman and Wonder Woman and all of that, right?
Right. Right.
But in RJ's scenario, in this RJ thing, that part right there that you just mentioned in the playoffs, it can't be about RJ Barrett. It's got to be about the team.
Right.
He's got to make those passes. Two, in my mind, two should be one. RJ Barrett, don't turn that ball over.
Yes.
Live ball turnovers against
Yes.
teams that struggle to score is only playing into their hands. The last thing we want to do is watch those athletes from Cleveland get out and run and get easy baskets. We don't want Donovan Mitchell dunking. We don't want to see Isaac Okoro catching lobs. We don't want to see their big man Evan Mobley, excellent athlete out there on the break, getting dunks in transition. We don't want to see that, right? But the third thing, and I think it's very important, we need to see now. Mind you, I say I don't want to see them run, right. In order to unlike RJ, I think the Knicks have to run.
I
RJ Barrett in the open court in transition, like RJ Barrett and Grimes and all of our young guys out in transition running, I think absolutely unlocks RJ Barrett. I think he is more unselfish when the game is in a flowing type of game as opposed to RJ Barrett in a staunch half court game on either side. On in the half court on defense, he'll get blown by and do recovery defense, and on offense, those 12 and a half drives a game you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see that a lot. But RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin,
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly out running the floor, I think benefits all the young, fresh legs.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Any fast break points the Knicks can get in this series is going to be a positive. I think they're evenly matched as far as fast break points. But to your point about live ball turnovers, Cleveland is third in points off turnovers.
Right.
So it's important. We don't turn the ball over a lot, but when we do, Cleveland has the ability to take advantage of it. And the Knicks have been pretty good in limiting points off turnovers. Let's
Right.
hope that remains the case because I have a feeling in this series, points are going to be hard to come by.
Right.
The Knicks are not a good shooting team. I don't think they're horrible, but they're not a great shooting team.
Right.
They get their points off of 3-point volume. They get their points off of second chance opportunities. They get their points over, to your point, not turning the ball over, not wasting possessions. That's how they get and go into the free throw line. The
Right.
attempts, even though they don't shoot it at a great, I mean, they shoot it probably league average, 74, 75, 76, something like that. But they eighth in attempts, so they get to the line a lot. So that
Right.
generates points. That generates points for them. So it's going to be really interesting against a Cleveland team.
You mind if I drill down on one of the points that you
Yes,
made?
absolutely. Yeah.
So um excuse me, the free throw thing I think is fascinating in that it's always the double-edged sword, right? You're giving away points at the free throw line,
Right.
right? But at the same time, the fouler is stacking up fouls, and then they have to adjust and take players off the floor
Right.
which makes them do other things strategically,
Right.
right?
That's a good point.
So if the Knicks can continue that, RJ going to the rim, getting the other team in foul trouble, getting their bigs in foul trouble. Now they have to go to Dean Wade,
Right.
Robin Lopez,
Right.
and guys like that. That plays into our hand, which ultimately mitigates other things that we don't do as well, like knock down the three-pointer.
Yes.
Because we can get the three-pointers on one play by getting it the old school way, as opposed to getting it the new school way. So that's part of it. We need RJ going to the rim. At the same time, we need him to be totally unselfish. You know what I'm saying? When going to the rim.
But you're speaking to now reading and reacting.
Yeah.
Right. Should I take this all the way? Or should I see this guy, this player rotating over. I see Grimes. Hopefully he has the peripherals. He see Grimes in the peripheral,
Right.
on that left corner,
Right.
and he's able to deliver the pass. And this is the thing, Freezie. I get your point. We do want to get them in foul trouble. RJ Barrett going to the basket, but I've seen RJ Barrett. He does get to the foul line a lot, but there's also times when he'll just go and just throw up some sort of shot and we get nothing
Right.
out of it. And it's almost like a turnover because they're
Right.
going, they're going the other way.
Right.
But
and he's on the floor under the basket. Right. No, I get it. That's why I said, RJ Barrett, are you gonna be selfish? The two things,
Mhm.
the selfishness and the games getting called a different way in the
Right.
playoffs.
Right.
Those are the two things that I wanted to make sure stood out from what I said, look, I don't want to see RJ Barrett, 12 and a half times, going into the paint, and then OB is wide open in the corner and RJ Barrett doesn't pass it to him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't want to see. You know what I'm saying? I think that plays into what play Cleveland's hands. Obi Toppin putting the ball on the floor towards the rim. I think that plays into Cleveland's hands. If
Right.
RJ Barrett recognizes it quick enough and is willing to get Obi that ball, and Obi has a wide open three from the corner, I like that.
Right. Yeah. 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 Definitely. No doubt. No doubt about it. Listen, if RJ Barrett is all of a sudden starts hitting his catch and shoot threes, I'll take it. I'm just not putting a lot of, faith in that. And even him finishing at the rim, you have more faith in him than I do in terms of finishing at the rim. I think where I see him have the biggest impact is just draw that defense, pass it out to the open shooters. Now, obviously, those shooters have to hit.
Right.
Grimes and Obi. And there's been some times Randall has been standing out there on the drive, asking for the ball, as well. And
Right.
listen, even if Randall is 75%, I hope he can hit a three.
Right.
A open three. But yeah, that definitely those are some good points on RJ Barrett. Let's talk about Grimes. Grimes has been shooting very well from the season. But Cleveland is number one in limiting the amount of 3-point shots a team gets up. I think they allow maybe 30.6 or something like that 3-point attempts per game, right? Which is the least in the league. The
Okay.
Knicks, part of how they get their points is on their 3-point, volume. So that's going to be interesting to see if the Knicks are able to get up enough 3-point shots. But they're weak at the corner in terms of defending the corner three, and we're pretty strong at getting corner threes. And usually I see Grimes in that spot. I see Obi in that spot. The energy Grimes has to put out to defend Mitchell, do you think that impacts his 3-point shooting, or do you feel like he's been guarding the best players all season? And actually down the stretch has been hitting the three ball pretty good over the last 9 games. Yeah. He's hit 10 3-pointers per game over his final 9. He's been shooting
That's
45
attempts. That's attempts.
attempts,
Okay.
attempting
Okay.
10. So the volume is up for him over
Okay.
his final 9 games. And he's been hitting those at 48%, 45% since the All-Star break, 39% on the season. So pretty much since the All-Star break, he's been shooting pretty much lights out. 45% is lights out.
Right. So
Do
for
you
one,
think there's anything to that, having to defend and also hit threes?
um, so let me pull back um the I want to unwrap the present on this one.
Okay.
So the stars being born that I've been alluding to are Quickly and Grimes. I think this playoff series you'll see it's their breakout party, their coming out party, right?
That would be
And
great.
and so the thing is with Grimes is I don't think Grimes's energy on defense is going to be an issue because I think we're going to rotate multiple good defenders onto Donovan Mitchell. I think you'll see Quickly, you'll see Grimes, you'll see Hart, maybe even RJ at times, right? I think in a 7-game, in a best of 7 series,
Right.
I think you'll see all of those guys take turns on Donovan Mitchell. And then Cleveland's going to do the same thing to Jalen Brunson. They're going to rotate multiple defenders on Jalen Brunson as well,
Mhm.
right? But the thing is, when they rotate multiple guys onto Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes has to have his presence be felt on the floor.
Right.
And I think he will because of all the things that you clearly stated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those things right there will balance out the floor. Whereas as JB Bickerstaff will have to guard Brunson personnel wise and not scheme wise.
Right.
Because it basically what I'm getting at is put your best defender on Jalen Brunson 1-on-1 as opposed to trapping him with 2 mediocre defenders.
Right.
Is basically what I'm getting at. Because if you trap him, that means somebody else on the other side of the floor is going to be open. And they don't want that to be Grimes, and they don't want that to be Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein underneath the rim.
Right.
Right. So it's probably going to be somebody in the corner, maybe Obi or RJ. And so those guys, when that happens, they have to make it pay. And it's going to ensure that things balance out. Like Grimes will get enough opportunity to make Cleveland pay. And that clip that you just mentioned, I
Mhm.
think that plays into our hands.
Yeah. I mean, something that's not going to happen. I just thought this was an interesting stat. Grimes is hitting 55% of his shots out of drives and assisting on 15.5 of them, but he's only taking one. He's only taking like one field goal per game on drives. So
Right.
I just think that's the next evolution of his game. Not that he doesn't have it now, but just getting more attempts as his role
Yeah,
changes
that won't
in this
happen in this
offense.
series though.
No,
That
no.
one and the
Next
reason
year, we're talking next year.
Yeah, that won't happen in this series because schematically and personnel wise, Cleveland has deterrence in the paint.
Right,
So he won't step that up this series.
right.
At least we don't anticipate that happening.
And that's
So
my concern, not just with him. That's my concern with RJ Barrett. That's my concern with Jalen Brunson. That's my concern with Julius Randle. And if he's healthy, though, I do think I've seen games in which um, Randle has operated outside of the key.
right,
So I mean, you can argue that he's not mixing it up enough. He's playing too much on the perimeter, but I've seen him do it. So I know he can do it. He can operate out on the perimeter. I don't
right.
know about Brunson.
RJ's going.
RJ's going no
RJ
matter
Barrett
what.
is going to the rim. I mean, that
No
is a given.
hell of hot water.
Yeah,
Hell
it
of
don't
hot
matter if
water.
Mutombo was down there.
Right.
He's going to yeah.
Right. Brunson too. The thing about Brunson though is he does pull up, not in the restricted area. So he doesn't go all the way in. So maybe he'll be, all right. But I am concerned about them because, though there are trees in there, basically,
Yes.
that you're gonna
Yes.
have to shoot over. And Brunson barely gets his shot off as it is.
Right.
Um, that being said, I have no concerns about Brunson in this series. I'm
No.
just trying to be even, just trying to be even.
My only
In
concern is
terms of the
if
concern.
Jalen Brunson is healthy. If
Right.
Jalen Brunson is healthy, Cleveland can't beat us. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Cleveland. I know I sound like a Knicks fan, and I can't help that. I am a Knicks fan, but I don't see Cleveland having with Jalen Brunson healthy. Cleveland don't have anybody that can guard Brunson. Sorry.
No, they don't. And the thing about it is, even if Mitchell matches him on his side of the ball, then you're down to the Randall Garland matchup. And obviously they're not playing each other, but just in terms of dominating their matchup, if Randall is healthy, I think he wins that, but you can argue that it's a wash. After that, though, I'm picking the Knicks all the way. Like after those two matchups, you got Emmanuel Quickly. They do have Karis LeVert, and Karis LeVert has been playing well the last two. I want to say the last 2 months of the season.
Right.
He's been playing. He's been playing well. For them. I just still feel like the Knicks have too much. As far as the bench is concerned.
Yeah, the Knicks have too much. And the thing about Cleveland, and I'm not knocking them because Cleveland is an excellent team. They have two budding superstars in Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
They have an excellent coaching staff. Strategically, what JB Bickerstaff did with Laurie Markkinen last season, playing a 7-footer at the 3,
Yeah.
and also the mixing him. It shows you that he is an intellect when it comes to NBA basketball. Right. But we have a beast in Julius Randle. I'm sorry. Right. And yeah. And I know sometimes he's a bull in a china shop, but with the Knicks, we need a bull in a china shop. Right. It's one of those things where this Knicks team is balanced. Is the perfect amount. You have the slasher in RJ Barrett, who's going to the rim. It doesn't hell or high what he going. He going, and sometimes it's ugly. But at the same time, teams have to be concerned with RJ Barrett driving to the basket, which opens up perimeter shots and looks on the perimeter for guys like Randall, like Obi, like Grimes, like Hart, like Quickly. You know what I'm saying? So there is that part of it. I think the thing that we need to focus on as or strategically is Cleveland is going to want to keep the Knicks in that 77 to 80 shot attempts per game thing.
Right.
And where the Knicks are is we thrive when we get that 86 to 90 shot per game thing, because that means we're getting out and getting easy baskets the other way. When we do that, I don't see a team in this league that is better than us. Now, can they beat us? Yes, of course.
Right.
Because we're not the best team in the league. But our sweet spot is getting Randall hitting threes, the Brunson burner, RJ Barrett at the free throw line, Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein gobbling up all the offensive rebounds and misses.
Right.
That's our sweet spot.
Right.
If we can do that, we're competitive with anyone.
No doubt about it. And that was my next question. They're not very good in rebounding. And that's surprising. They're 29th in defensive rebounding, given the 2 7-footers that they have and being number 1 in defense.
Right.
So they give up. There's offensive rebounds to be had, and we're really good in offensive rebounding. Just like you mentioned, Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, Josh Hart, put him in there as well in terms of getting second chance opportunity. But this is the thing.
Notice you didn't say Obi.
No.
Notice you didn't say Obi, and if Randall is not healthy for game 1,
right,
this could be problematic, right?
Yeah, it could be. So the thing about it is they're not good in defensive rebound. That means there's a lot of offensive rebounds to be had. But the thing about it is, and we're good at that, they're very good at making sure you don't convert on those offensive rebounds, those second chance opportunities you get. They're top, I want to say top 3 in defending second chance points. And so this is why that Mitch Hartenstein, Josh Hart, they're going to get it But can we convert? And it doesn't have to be them. They can pass it out, whatever. But on that possession, can we convert? That's going to be the key.
May I ask you a question about that?
Hmm. Hmm.
So on those second chance points, are those on reset shot clocks or right at the rim putbacks?
No, my understanding, if I'm correct, is just scoring on that possession, that extra
Okay.
possession that you get. It doesn't have to be an immediate
So
putback.
it's reset shot clocks. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah,
That's what I'm asking because because if it's one of those things where they're just not going to allow Mitch to grab a rebound and dunk, then we might be in what they call trouble, right? But if it's
mhm,
against the reset shot clock,
mhm,
then as long as if they're resetting their defense, I can understand that aspect of it. So
mhm.
we might have to work on something strategically. Like, what do we do when the
Right,
shot clock is reset to 14? Is there some type of offense that we can run against them in that?
right.
Then I'm thinking like, okay, now we might be in some type of trouble.
But
I
I
mean,
so you think that I think there's still an issue. I think it's still an issue because I still think we're going to get the same amount of offensive rebounds, but scoring if we're passing it out and scoring against them resetting their defense, I mean that's fine. You got to do that anyway.
you got to
But
do it anyway,
you got
right?
to do that anyway. But what to your point, missing Mitchell Robinson's actual putbacks, that's
That would
that's
be
going to hurt
something
us.
major, yeah. And so with the reset shot clock, you don't have time to do the read and react and you know some type of pick and roll action. A lot of times when that with a reset shot clock, you going ISO.
Right.
Can we ISO in a yeah? I mean I don't know.
I hope I'm wrong. I will look it up again, but my understanding is second chance is what you score on that possession. It doesn't have to be an immediate putback.
Okay.
So if they're limiting our immediate putbacks, that's limiting the effectiveness of Mitch
Of
and my
Mitch, yeah,
yeah. I mean, him getting that rebound is fine, but Isaiah Hartenstein can do that as well. The
yeah,
thing with Mitch is you get immediate you get
yeah,
immediate points from Mitch
right.
for the most part. I don't know if
My fear is, and my fear is this. I know it sounds, I know it sounds like Henny Penny. I know it's gonna sound like, oh, Uncle Freezie saying the sky is falling. No, I'm thinking they're gonna foul Mitch and send him to the free throw line. That's where I think things get problematic, right? And they're like, no, no, nothing easy down here, Mitch. You're gonna have to earn it. And I'm
that
thinking
does
about
put them in foul trouble though, if unless it's somebody else who comes in to do it. But this
right.
is why I think don't be surprised if Isaiah Hartenstein plays um, more minutes. Now, I don't know if that's more than Mitch or if that's just more than usual
Are you talking about clutch finishing minutes or just minutes throughout the
in
flow of the
minutes
game?
in the game.
Okay.
Minutes in the game. Because this is the thing. Isaiah Hartenstein, he's not gonna pull a big out like Randall or Obi would do. He's not gonna pull them out to the 3-point line, but he's gonna pull them out of that restricted area. They're gonna have to come up and play him because he can hit that floater and he can hit guys, and if they put if he pulls them out of the restricted area, now the back door is open for us. The thing about it is he's playing on a second unit. I would think they're still gonna have one of their bigs in with that second unit. I would think that they're gonna have one of their bigs in at all times, right? So I think that's what Hartenstein um, gives us. Because if they stay back and they dare him to shoot, I've seen him pass up shots though. He has to be willing to take that shot in the key to keep them honest, bring them up out that restricted area, and now the backdoor cuts are open.
I think that's advantage us.
Yeah, it is.
I
You
think
know,
any rotation that does not include Jared Allen is advantageous.
right,
Right.
right.
Where Robin Lopez and Evan Mobley advantage us.
Not about Robin Lopez. Do they sit both of them and play Robin Lopez? That I don't know.
No, I think what you'll see is Jared Allen and Dean Wade,
Hmm.
and then Robin Lopez and Evan Mobley.
Okay.
But any matchup that is absent Jared Allen is advantage us. I mean, I think we
Right.
have the advantage with Jared Allen in there anyway. But what I'm saying is um any matchup that say Robin Lopez, Dean Wade. Oh,
Mhm.
definitely advantage
Yeah,
us.
yeah, 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 yeah. But
Right?
you think Mitchell Robinson has the matchup over Jared Allen?
Yes.
Wow.
Not because Mitch is. I'm not saying Mitchell Robinson is a better player.
Oh, no, no, no. I
Right.
know.
Right. I'm merely talking about the total personnel grouping.
Right.
Right. With Jared Allen, on the floor, the things that Jared basically it's like with any matchup that has um I think Mitch is a major factor in this series, is basically what I'm getting at.
I think he can be.
Right.
I think he can be. He's going to get those offensive rebounds, but my concern is he going to be able to put them back over Jared Allen?
Right. And the other thing just to mention
Mhm.
is, what about when Jared Allen rebounds? You know what I'm saying? Jared Allen rebounds and Mitch is there. Mitch is a deterrent. And Mitch said as much. You know what I'm saying? When Rebecca Hollow asked Mitch, what about their two bigs? Mitch was like, well, what about me and Big Fella? And he
Mhm.
was referencing
Mhm.
Isaiah Hartenstein.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, I mean, I think Mitch can have a huge impact. I'm not going in like you are saying he's going to win the matchup, but I agree that he can be a huge X factor in this,
Right.
and he could change the complexion of this series and even change the outcome. If he's getting putbacks, if he's getting offensive rebounds and he's putting them back,
Right.
and he's keeping, limiting the effectiveness of, I don't think, listen, Jared Allen is not a great defensive player, by any stretch. But he can hurt us if he's getting offensive rebounds and banging them back down. You know what I mean? Because that's not what we're expecting from him. So Mitch has to make sure, and I think all of the Knicks, make sure you don't have players that are coming out doing things they don't usually do. Dean Wade, maybe, I don't know how much he averages. Let's say he averaged 16, he getting 18, excuse me, and he's getting 18. Jared Allen, 4 points, I don't know, 15 rebounds, but he's dominating. He got 20 rebounds, 10 on the offensive end, 12 second chip. Like, that cannot happen on any matchup on the floor. It just can't.
So what's going to happen in this series?
Mm.
Right.
On our side,
No,
I'm
on
hoping.
the on their side. On their side. And it's not because Dean Wade is Larry Bird, but schematically, we like to ice the pick and roll, which often leaves a power forward on the weak side of our defense with a wide open look from three. And we complain about it a lot, right? We're like, man, how Mike Muscala is wide open? How is Dean Wade? How is Kevin Love wide open on it? Well, our scheme allows that. So we're gonna have. You remember George Niang from Philly hitting that shot against us? You're muted, Queen.
Oh, yes, I do. That was the last. I want to say that was the last time we played. We played Philly.
Right, and so it's gonna happen to us. We just have to mitigate it, make sure it doesn't go crazy.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? He's gonna get those looks. So um I'm looking forward to Dean Wade being an X factor for them,
Hmm.
but not somebody that's gonna average 20 and 10, but he's gonna get
Oh
those
no.
looks.
Yeah, yeah. No doubt about it. I think points are going to be at a premium in this series. I don't think this is going to be a high scoring season by any stretch. I think we're looking at, games in the low hundreds, maybe even the high 90s,
Right.
scores like 196 or 105 to 101, like, things like that.
Right.
Um, so points are going to be at a premium. Somebody scoring 16 points that you weren't expecting, that could be the difference in that game,
Right. Right.
you know? I will say, though, overall, they're a better defensive team than us on the season. But when we've played them, we've held them below their season average. So let's see
Right.
if that continues. I just have two much more questions. Who's your X factor for the Knicks?
RJ Barrett.
Okay.
That's easy.
Okay.
It's RJ, and it's for for all those reasons that we mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, if RJ Barrett shows up with a 3-pointer, oh my goodness,
Game over.
right,
I've
right,
put that to rest. I don't even expect that. But if he does do that, game over.
the game, right. If RJ Barrett shows up with a 3-pointer, who can beat us? Right. And when I say shows up with a 3-pointer, I don't mean 50% from three. I'm talking about like if RJ Barrett is shooting 38% all of a sudden.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
I'll take 35.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
take
Right.
35, 36.
Right.
I think he's like 31, 32
Right.
on the season, and even less than that after the All-Star break.
Right.
So,
And the thing about it is I think he can do that because he had time to rest those heavy legs. The Knicks hadn't played since what, Sunday?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think RJ Barrett can do it. I ironically, I think the break might be to the detriment of Grimes, who was in a rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
and so all those days off might have him out of rhythm a little bit, like a little rim rust. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
But
At
for
least in the
guys,
first
but
game.
for the bigs, like
Mm.
for the big guys like RJ, like Randall, I think this might be something good for them.
Yeah. The rest, oh, for sure. For sure. Um, yeah. I mean, this could be the difference. This long rest we have could be the difference in Randall missing 1 or 2 games and not 3 or 4. And especially the way the games are spread out in
Right.
the series with like two
Right.
2 days between games almost.
Right.
So that's going to help as well. I don't really know yeah, I agree with you. I think RJ Barrett, is one X factor. I think Mitch is an X factor as well.
Right.
It,
And two, just further along,
mm,
if we're allowed to play physical in the
yeah,
playoffs,
yes,
RJ
yes,
Barrett is definitely an X factor.
yeah, yeah,
Definitely. If he is allowed to bowl his way to the rim and they're not calling offensive foul on RJ and Randall,
yeah.
yeah, I think RJ is gonna be the huge X.
But are they calling fouls though?
Yeah,
If they're calling fouls, I agree with you absolutely.
right.
But if they're not, and he's barreling and the ball is coming out, and
Yeah, now that part would be problematic.
because they
Right.
convert that to me, that's a turnover.
Yeah.
It's a shot attempt, but for me, it's
But
it's
it's a turnover because it's still live.
right,
Right.
right,
So I agree with you.
yeah, and they do very good in turning those type of plays into points. Other than experience, other than experience, what other edge, or does Tom Thibodeau have an edge in this series against Bickerstaff other than experience?
Right. Yeah, of course. Of course. For one, I like Hartenstein over Robin Lopez and Dean Wade. I
Mhm,
like the combination of Hartenstein and Obi over
mhm,
Dean Wade and Robin Lopez because in theory they're the same. It's the same chemistry.
right,
Dean Wade is a face-up four that can shoot the three,
mhm,
and blah blah blah, and Obi is a face-up four that can shoot the three, but Obi presents energy and in explosiveness scoring.
right,
Right? Like I don't see a universe where Dean Wade can explode for 30 points. I think Obi has that potential. The potential is there. I'm not saying he'll
right,
do it.
right, right,
And
right.
then Robin Lopez and Hartenstein basically do the same thing. Good rim protection,
Mhm,
horizontal rim protection, touch around the rim, and what I'm saying, quality off the bench big that can play for large stretches during the game if your main big is in foul trouble.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Last question. Your keys to the Knicks winning this series. What are a few things they have to do, or they can kiss it goodbye? A few things they have to do if they want to win this series.
RJ Barrett has to exploit. RJ Barrett and Josh Hart has to exploit those matchups at the three. That's where our advantage is. The three, the on the perimeter, on the wing, because when you think about the backcourt is going to play to a stalemate. The bigs are going to play to a stalemate, right? Now, what is RJ Barrett and Josh Hart going to do against Karis LeVert, Chetty Osman, and Isaac Okoro? If we lose to Chetty Osman and Isaac Okoro, we don't deserve to be there, especially when we got RJ Barrett and Josh Hart. You traded for him. You traded a first-round pick for Josh Hart. Now, when we need him, he got to show up. And I'm not putting all the pressure on Josh Hart, but I'm saying, a veteran wing player, this is your time to show your worth.
I obviously, Randall's health is something that has to. If Randall doesn't play in this series, I think the Knicks lose. They lose the series. Okay. I mean, I get it. Other people can step up, and there's a possibility that can happen. I don't like the Knicks' chances at all if Randall could play at 75%, 78%, I would take it.
Okay.
And I'm saying as long as he's not, risking like long-term, injury.
Right.
I would take Randall at 78%. I think, one of the keys to the game is the Knicks have to either get up enough threes, which is going to be difficult to do against this team, or hit the ones they do get at a high efficiency. I think points are going to be at a premium in this series. I think the Knicks are going to have to convert on their second chance points.
Right.
And if Mitch can give us some right under the basket without us having to pass it out and play against a set defense, that's going to help us. I think Mitch is going to be huge there. And you got to make Donovan Mitchell work.
Yeah.
Because Mitch, he can score 60. He can score 60 points in the game. If he gets his 30, we can deal with that. But you can't give up 40, 50, 60 points.
He can have multiple games of that.
Yes. Of 30, you mean?
Will be okay? 40. Of 40.
Oh.
He did it in the bubble against Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
I mean, not that Murray is a great defender.
Right. Which Murray? DeJounte?
No, Jamal Murray.
Jamal. Nuggets? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you make them work, keep them around 30. Right. I think we can handle. Handle that.
Right.
And you can't let the bench. Our bench has to show up. So, I think, as I'm listening to the different podcasts, I don't hear a lot about people talking about how the playoffs are different from the regular season. Right. So basically what you're asking your team to do is do the same things you usually do, but in a tougher environment.
Right.
That's what we're asking, our guys to do. That's what we're asking Quickly to do. We haven't even talked about Quickly, who I don't know if you can say somebody who's probably your third best player on the team is an X factor. But I will say, given that this is his first real experience in the playoffs in this role,
right,
I think how he plays is going to be important to us. I'm not going to say that if he doesn't play well, we lose the series. I'm not gonna go that far, but how he plays can go a long way in helping us.
I'm giving Quickly one game, right? I think Quickly is going to have a Quickly game in this 7-game series, right? Where Quickly is the best player on the floor for both teams. He's got that type potential.
Oh yes,
he
does.
Where he can just take over and explode a matchup one night, just take over the game. And I'm not saying 45 and 13. I'm saying Quickly can go for 29 on 16 shots, and his defense is elite, and you feel his impact on the floor, whether it's ball deflections, nice passes, taking charges, good defense, rebounding the ball, like out of body experience rebounding, like maybe 8 or 9 rebounds or maybe like 10 assists, not together, but I'm just saying not 8 or 9 rebounds and 8 or 9 assists in the same game. But I'm saying some type of impact. I'm giving Quickly one of those games. I think Quickly will have a Quickly game. And I think Grimes is going to be steady Eddie throughout. I think you could probably count on Grimes for 16, 17 points per game, which doesn't sound like a lot.
Wow, that is a lot.
But compared to what his normal output, that's going to be his Bradley Beal moment. That's who I think we're looking at with Grimes, maybe long term. Not exactly not the scoring machine Bradley Beal, right? But I'm talking about the Robin to a John Wall type of situation. If y'all if y'all listening to this, not the scoring machine Bradley Beal that took all the shots. I'm talking about the complementary player that did all the stuff that John Wall didn't do in the playoffs. I think that's what Grimes is going to be going forward.
If he can do that, now we talked earlier about RJ Barrett. If RJ Barrett shoots his threes, it's over, the Knicks win. If Grimes does that, I feel the same way. The Knicks win. If he's averaging 16 points a game
and great defense,
it's over. I will say this. Everything you said about Quickly, everything you said about Grimes, I would not be surprised if it happened. Okay. But on the flip side, I wouldn't be disappointed in those guys if it didn't happen, given their playoff experience or lack thereof. Some guys can come in and just from their very first time in the playoffs, they on that level. And then there's some guys it takes them a few years to get there.
Like RJ Barrett don't feel pressure.
Right.
Like RJ Barrett does not feel pressure. It's one of those things where occasionally you'll see RJ like bicker a little bit. You're like, wow, okay, RJ Barrett is, but for the most part, RJ Barrett is a fighter pilot. It don't matter if it's the NBA Finals or the preseason. RJ Barrett is like the same. That's why I'm thinking RJ Barrett is the X factor. So if RJ is bringing that jump shot, I think the days off is going to do him good. The mental rest, the emotional rest, the physical rest. I think you'll see him, impress himself upon the Cavs.
Yeah, I do too. But however, if we can win the game without RJ, I feel like we got into this part with RJ Barrett playing the way he's played throughout the season. If he continues to play that way, I still think we can win the series, provided everybody else continues to do what they've done all season. Your predictions before we get out of here?
Knicks in 6. Knicks in 6.
I have the Knicks in 6.
This time next week, they'll probably would have played 3 games. So
3 games.
So we'll probably be able to adjust
2. Because I think they're going to play Friday. Today's Thursday.
Right.
They will have played 2 games.
Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Monday, and then 2 games. Yeah.
Yeah. And then because the next one will be, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Freezie, it's always a pleasure. Be sure to check Uncle Freezie out on Blorange Tears on the YouTube platform and NBA 360 on all your podcast streaming platforms. Right. And those of you who are listening, if you're not familiar with YouTube, join the movement. I mean, I was listening to audio podcasts for a long time, and I went on YouTube to look for something else, and I saw a visual, a YouTube show, somebody talking about the Knicks. My life hasn't been the change since. So get with the movement if you haven't. And those who are watching this on video, be sure to go to NBA 360, Dope Soul Sports Talk, audio podcast, all streaming platforms, and download the prior episodes. Those are fire too.
Yeah, those. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I get lost. It's like going to the library. Like you legit you can get lost in there. You're like, oh, they were talking about that.
Right. Right.
I listened to the one with Corey Lee and Shotgunner again.
Mm.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's definitely enjoyable. Just having those guys, just listening to it, and the format is different than what you're watching here. It's more conversational. So it's like with Queen B and myself, it's like, you know, sometimes we have formats, sometimes we don't. But when you get that audio podcast, it's like you're stepping into our world. That's what it's like. So I advise you guys to listen to Dope Soul and to get out there and to, you know, the Blorange Tears audio podcast, because when you listen to us on audio podcasts, it's like you leave where you are and step into our world. It's like you're there with us. And I invite you to at least, you know, give us the opportunity to share our world with you as we talk about Knicks basketball, our personal perspectives and preferences and our experiences. Sometimes we do strategy and share our thoughts, but for the most part, you know, it's a whole new world where you get to leave. Maybe you're listening to us at work, right, and your coworker is over there doing a thing, and you can just escape the grind, right, put on the Queen Bee and Uncle Freezie and grind away at your work. And meanwhile, you're, you know, taking advantage of escapism and rocking with us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Uncle Freezie and I in the Nick neighborhood every other week on this audio podcast, and every other week on his audio podcast, NBA360. So we got you covered every week. You just got to toggle between, you know, the two podcasts. We got you
and
covered.
You'll get the alerts. You'll get the alerts and things and everything. So, but ensure whatever platform you're listening to, whether it's Spotify or Amazon or Google Podcasts or Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts at, just add us to your library, and then you'll see our things show up on a weekly basis there. And there you can download it and rock with us and step into this world that we're in.
Yeah, for sure. Until next time, Nick family, NBA Nation, appreciate you.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't